joined from overseas. I'm your host Faraz Darvesh. We have several different topics with us on the table. First and foremost, India-Pakistan final, which is coming up in just a day and a half from now. And as we all know, that Indians and Pakistanis have long history of romance when it comes to cricket. We all love cricket. The entire region of South Asia love cricket. And we have seen cricket diplomacy in the past, and we will discuss that what will be the outcome, how should we manage this whole, the new wave of sentiments which is coming up when it comes to cricket. And day and a half we'll see the outcome of this, and Pakistan has made some good progress recently in cricket. So we'll discuss, take some deep dive into that, and then we'll discuss the Nawaz Sharif JIT. Nawaz Sharif appeared before the court, before the JIT, and let's see where this JIT investigation is leading towards, and then we'll discuss the Trump under criminal investigation, his Russia link, and we've seen some good developments happening in the recent past. And then towards the end, we'll discuss the Saudi-Qatari rift and how should Pakistan manage itself, balance itself between Qatar and Saudi. Riaz, thank you so much, and Misbah, thank you for joining. Riaz, let me start with you, cricket. And we have seen cricket diplomacy between two countries, India and Pakistan. Is it a good time to have some cricket diplomacy?
Well, I don't think that seems likely at this point, given the level of tension that exists between the two countries. But I think this is one of those occasions where there is a shared interest by both nations, especially when there is a final, which is a big match, right? Coming up at Champions Trophy. In an international event, so it elicits a lot of interest. So let's talk a little bit about what Champions Trophy is. Champions Trophy is held every other year, and the current Champions Trophy holder, or the defending champion, is actually India. Among the 8 teams that are participating in it, Pakistan was ranked number 8 at the bottom of the 8 teams, and they lost the very first match they had against India in the group matches, and they lost it very badly. So at that time they were basically written off. Nobody expected that they'd come back, that they'd make it to the a semi-final, even much less final. But they have come up against all odds. They have actually won 3 matches in a row. And they've beaten, teams like number 1 ranked South Africa, and also higher ranked, England and Sri Lanka to make it to the final. So it's one of those things where it's a big mistake for anybody to write Pakistan off. It's a very resilient team, and it's a resilient nation. When people think that these guys are about to collapse, finish off and die,
their comeback.
They come back strongly.
Right.
This is going to be a big game in the sense that it will be watched by probably the world's largest ever audience, more than 1 billion people all over the world. And I expect that there's going to be a lot of in addition to money, obviously there's a lot of money in it, there's going to be a lot of bookies playing their game and trying to, I'm sure there's going to be an attempt to at least bribe some of the players to underperform and lose the game. So those are some of the things that one has to be concerned about.
Right. Ms. What do you?
Yeah, actually I would, Riaz already talked about all the background and all that, so I have nothing to, but the thing is that your real question that if it is it will cause some sort of diplomacy
between India and Pakistan,
and Pakistan, I would emphasize more on my comment. Yes, I agree that tensions are high and all that, but the thing is that in India-Pakistan case, the tensions are high one day, but the thing is that something usually goes on. It is not going to change overnight things. However, the way I see it, it will reduce the tension. If you see some of the voices in India who are against this right-wing massacre, if you will, on the media and all that. So
give me the right-wing narrative.
Right-wing narrative, basically. those, like Shekhar Gupta's very interesting comment came, that he say, okay, we all deviators and we all non-patriotic people are sitting down and watching game, and that he's telling to media, while you guys are worried about being a patriot. See, this kind of thing. So that's a good thing, actually. So if these things will be happening over the time, things will be getting a little bit better. So I do hope that everything is...
So momentum is picking up somewhat.
Momentum is...
Well, I personally would like to see a day when India-Pakistan play, and at the end of the game, we celebrate that, you know, the match was won by South Asians instead of, you know, I hope we can see that.
This is India-Pakistan. It never happened, and it will never happen. I mean, but it doesn't have to happen that way. Because, see, the thing is that I would still be happy if India wins, India celebrates, if Pakistan wins, Pakistan celebrates. But the good part is that they are playing the games. And let's hope that...
Then we have had a recent episode where one of the former Pakistani cricket player, he basically said some really negative comments about the current captain of Pakistan cricket team. And then Indians, I mean, players from India, they rised up and defended the Pakistani cricket team's captain, which is pretty positive.
Yeah, and even in Pakistan, that lot of players, they were not happy on this comment, and probably they were going to court against these kind of.
And they spoke. I mean, the Indian cricket players spoke very highly of Pakistani cricket team captain. So which is a good.
Yeah, actually, the liberals in India, you know, which cricket team is one of them, most of that, but. You know, they are trying to have any opportunity, so as in Pakistan, they are trying to get any opportunity to come out from this conundrum, you know, between India and Pakistan.
Right, which is pretty positive. Riaz, I would like to see if you can let the audience know about our current cricket team captain. And you were discussing as we were coming in the car, you said he comes from a very humble background and he has made it through and...
Yeah, in fact, he's from a very humble background, from Karachi, Sarfaraz Ahmed.
Right.
And one of the things that some people decided to make fun of is his English, as though, you know, being able to speak English is an important attribute of being a cricketer. And as somebody said, I think it was probably some of the Indians who said that, hey, you know, he can talk with his bat, that's good enough for us.
Right.
You know, we don't have to have this slavish mentality.
Right.
That, you know, the only people that are worth anything are those who can speak English well.
So far, I've seen some positive energy coming out of this.
If you saw the comment from Rishi Kapoor, Kapoor, it was very relaxed, more
relaxed. Let's go over to Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif's appearance before JIT. And tell us, I mean, first of all, is unprecedented. How do you say this? Well, not unprecedented. Yusuf Raza Gilani also appeared. But where are things going in Pakistan?
I think it is unprecedented. It's history making. Yusuf Raza Gilani presented himself to the Supreme Court. Nawaz Sharif presented himself in front of an investigative committee, which is made up of bureaucrats. So there's a big difference. But he did that because the court has appointed that committee with the order to investigate this. So I see this as a very positive thing for Pakistan's democracy. Obviously, you know, Nawaz Sharif and some of the PMLN folks aren't happy that he's been dragged in front of this committee to investigate. And I see some parallels between what is going on there and what's going on here in the United States. That whenever somebody is held to account, they start screaming bloody murder, and they say they cry foul. They say, you know, this you know, like Donald Trump's tweet this morning that we saw, calling it a witch hunt. So I think Nawaz Sharif sees it the same way. They play the victim card to try and gain sympathy of the people. But the fact is that I think these are the kinds of processes that have to be a part of democracy. You know, just the fact that you get elected to high office does not absolve you of all of your sins. That you know, these are two separate things. Being elected is separate from following the laws and the constitution of the country.
So let me ask you: has PMLN or the sitting current PMLN government have they managed it well?
Well, I think they're trying to manage it on the streets. They're trying to put pressure on the judiciary and the JIT by bringing out large numbers of people on the streets, by making speeches, that are very aggressive. I saw that the number of PML politicians, like Abid Sher Ali, for example, they were out there in force, Khwaja Saad Rafiq and these kinds of people, and they were, really trying to work up the people. So this is happening, but my hope is that this process, resolves the issue. If it means that if they find that Nawaz Sharif did something wrong, it's okay if they remove him, but that doesn't mean that the parliament should go away. That doesn't mean that the government should go away.
Else should be nominated.
In any parliamentary democracy, in Britain, for example, one prime minister goes. Let's say if the Conservative Party is the ruling party, one prime minister goes, they nominate another leader to lead the country. So I think it should be a normal process. It should not be a one-man government.
But the complaint from some of our PTI or some of our other folks from the other side of the fence, they say, well, even if Nawaz Sharif is gone, then he will nominate somebody else from his party, which then it will again be his dominance in the parliament, and
Yeah, but people have elected that party. So you have to accept that. Now, if the other person that they nominate has done something wrong, then they too should be held accountable. But it doesn't mean simply because they belong to a certain party.
According to them, it does not break the status quo of PMLN.
Oh, I think it can. I mean, there's elections coming up, so they're going to be accountable at the election time if they don't do a good job. And, it's possible that Nawaz Sharif is going to be, after he's removed, he might even be disqualified. But that doesn't mean that he's going to be thrown out of politics. He might not be able to become Prime Minister or Member of Parliament, but he can still be a leader of the party.
Yeah, first of all, this pressure tactics these all parties do, what Imran Khan is doing for last 4 years, pressuring the institutions and all that. So this is very common in Pakistan, it was expected. However, one thing I respectfully disagree with Riaz, that PMLN is feeling very bad, especially after these controversies of JIT, like FaceTime gate, then after that you have this picture came out, and
of his son.
Of his son.
Of his son sitting in the room.
JIT is getting questioned, and now they launched the complaints, and if you see the newspapers, the way government responded, and they virtually asked more questions. Under that circumstances, I think that PMLN wants this thing, that they want to go to these things, JIT calls and all, and to show themselves as a victim. And then show themselves as, see, we are the real Democrats, we go there. And at the other hand, there is Imran Khan, who is giving the statements about individuals, and when they were called from the court, he doesn't go there. And he sits down at his place and fight that court doesn't have a jurisdiction to hear these cases.
So you're saying PMLN, his Prime Minister's son, Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif himself, has gone and appeared before the GIT. Imran Khan, on the other hand, never did.
Not only never did, but the thing is that, see, when this case came in Supreme Court, about his property and all that.
About who? Imran Khan's property?
Imran Khan's property. First of all, Imran Khan's lawyers were fighting that court has no jurisdiction, and they were wanting to be out. The Election Commission, they are constantly challenging Election Commission. That,
so you are saying PMLN is being more democratic than...
I am not saying they are or they are not, okay? I am not passing a judgment here that who is better or who is not. I am just saying that PMLN is taking this chance, this is as an advantage.
So your entire premise is giving the impression that you are saying Nawaz Sharif is doing, is managing it much better, he is being much more humble to go before the court, whereas Imran Khan, on the other hand, he did not have the courage or did not have the honor to go before the court.
Yeah, he did not challenge, Nawaz Sharif did not challenge these things. Shahbaz Sharif was called, he right away went there, tomorrow he's going there. So, so he wants to score the points there.
Well, I think it's the government right now is run by Nawaz Sharif. The bureaucracy, the police, everybody reports to him. And if he believes that Imran Khan has done something wrong, they should go after him. they should charge him. They should bring him in front of a court if they believe that they can prove anything.
Right.
So I wouldn't say that there is equivalence between the two. No, Imran Khan is not the sitting Prime Minister. Nawaz Sharif is. Imran Khan doesn't have the power to drag Nawaz Sharif in front of a court, but Nawaz Sharif does have the power to drag Imran Khan in front of a court.
Well,
yeah, see, the thing is that, but this, what Riaz is saying, it's a reality. But what I am saying is a perception.
Okay.
He's creating a perception there.
Who is he?
Perception
Who is he?
the reality.
Who is he? Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif
is
creating
the
perception that I am much more democratic.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I agree with Riaz. I mean, sure. I mean, if you see from the top, then obviously you say, okay, he is a Prime Minister. He can order them and grab them and ask them questions. But can he do it? First of all.
Politically,
there will be a disaster. Media, everybody will be attacking on them.
Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif would do it. You have to admit that it will not go in his favor politically.
He's a very weak Prime Minister.
He is, by all means. I agree.
You agree that he's a weak Prime Minister?
He's a weak Prime Minister.
Why so? So you say
either he's weak or he's just using this to score points.
Well, he's weak and scoring point. That's why I see him. Really.
Okay.
Okay, why he's weak? This is a long argument.
Separate debate. Misbah, going over to you. So basically, you're saying Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif is managing it much better than Imran Khan did.
See, only time will tell. I mean, the thing is that politics is brutal. Okay. I mean, the thing is, you make your plans, you see the things, and you make your moves there. Only time will tell. But the thing is that elections are very close now. There is a good chance that after Senate election, right away, Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif will break the parliament and announce the election. Although time will not be too much because February is probably the Senate election. Once he will get the majority in Senate, in February, end of February or early March, he can announce, so, and then have elections instead of September.
And then have the interim setup come.
That's correct. 3 months, June, July, August.
3-4 months and then, okay.
That's correct, yeah. So he can do these kind of things. So we have.
No, I'm just trying to understand your perspective of the implication of this whole JIT episode on the 2018 election.
No, actually, both parties are trying to get maximum points to go to the next election. What Imran Khan is doing, he's also going to elections, right? So he needs, JIT is a very good thing that Nawaz Sharif is trying to make it controversial. They are saying, PMLN is saying that, well, actually JIT is doing we are the victims and what happened, although their government has mentioned.
Let's shift gears. Let's go over to President Trump's investigation, which is happening now, which is in progress now. Where do you see this going?
Yeah, so it's now confirmed by President Trump himself that he is under criminal investigation for obstruction of justice. Now, the fact that it's criminal adds a big dimension to it.
Right.
So, President Trump has a lot of experience with litigation. He's been suing and been sued by a lot of people, but it's always been civil matters, where it was a matter of money.
And why is it criminal, by the way, if you want to tell the
Obstruction of justice is a crime.
Okay.
It's not just a matter of, you've done tort or you've actually hurt somebody. It's not a matter of money. It's a crime that is punishable by actually jail. So it's a very different case. Also, the fact that the counsel, the special counsel, Robert Muller, has significant powers, and he is gathering a very powerful and very skilled team of investigators. There's reports that people with all kinds of experience who've been in the business for a long time are being recruited by him. These are, these reports are coming in all the time. And that's what's scaring not only President Trump, but all of his, team as well. Everybody in the Trump team is now lawyering up. They're hiring their own lawyers. I hear that Vice President Pence has engaged a lawyer now to defend himself in case he gets caught.
So it's not going in the right direction.
It's going to be. That's why they're so panicky, in fact. And then Jerrold Kushner, his son-in-law, has also hired a lawyer. So I think it's not looking good right now for President Trump. The issue is that it started out we talked about it last week. It started out as a investigation into Russian interference and collusion by the Trump team, the Trump campaign. But now, after the firing of Comey and the statements that President Trump has made, it has turned into a criminal investigation for obstruction of justice, which is a much more serious matter.
Right. Ms. Ba.
Yeah, actually, this is the way it is moving now. Like I'll just say that, you know, Robert Muller is hiring people. He hired almost 12 people very recently, you know. Trump wanted to fire the special counsel on that, and the news are that the White House's close advisors are saying, don't do that, and find something to make this thing look controversial. So what Trump is looking for, that something he finds in the among his team, Robert Muller's team, so that he can come out and he can say they are no good for this job, and they are doing the quote-unquote witch hunt, what he said today. Right. What he found out, what it is that there are news about it, that they are looking into that maybe some of these people who are hired by Mr. Mueller were the supporters of Democratic Party, and they even paid money for their funds and for their campaign funds and those kind of things. So he is going to find out these kind of problems to make it controversial, right. That thing, so that his thing that he is, you know, it is all, you know, kind of witch hunt. He's on a witch hunt, that will be proven. So you have yet to see that how he can do. But problem is that it is not as simple. If he fires him, if Mr. Trump fires Mr. Mueller, then it is a Saturday Night Massacre, October 1974, you know. Watergate, when President Nixon fired him. Now the Deputy Attorney General of Mr. Trump, he even came out and he said that he would do the right thing. He would not do if he would ask to do, just only. However, he would only do if we find something really wrong about the council. And what Mr. Trump is doing, trying to find that really wrong thing about the council.
Riaz, over to you, closing remarks.
Yeah, I think the questions are now being raised even about Rod Rubenstein. Rod, you know, the Deputy Attorney General. And the reason is that he was involved in Comey firing.
Right.
If the subject of the investigation is Comey firing, then he too would have to recuse himself because he was involved in that action. So it's going to be interesting where this thing goes.
Yeah.
Right. So let me come to the last topic. Ms. Ba, let me start with you. Qatar and Saudi rift, and we've seen in the last few weeks what was been happening. Qatar is being isolated by its GCC partners, former GCC partners. First of all, tell us, how should Pakistan balance it out between Saudi and Qatar?
Well, Pakistan should not get involved, physically involved in that issue. You know, they have to just...
Should Pakistan be involved at all in any Saudi adventures?
Even Saudi or Qatari
or anyone.
This is their thing, and especially, see, Pakistan, if you compare what Pakistan gets from Saudi Arabia, what Pakistan gets from Qatar, you know, there is much more economic gains Pakistan get as far as the remittances are concerned.
From Saudi?
Yeah, from Saudi Arabia. You know, like Qatar is some 80 million something, versus Qatar is like, I mean, Saudi Arabia was billions of that, you know. So, and Pakistan's, you know, what is the Pakistan's total reserve? It's around 24 billion. And like 14-15 billion is just a remittances, that part of that, you know what I mean? So you can always see that, and big part of that is Saudi Arabia. So Pakistan cannot go and fight with Saudi Arabia on that. So Pakistan already did. They gave them something.
Yes,
like General Rahil Sharif, Pakistan allowed them to. So that kind of released a little bit pressure from Pakistan. Now Pakistan can say, first thing what Prime Minister should do is that go to the parliament and ask them to give the verdict on that,
Verdict.
what we should be doing.
Right.
If Parliament will say, do not get involved, then Saudis will have a very little leverage on Pakistan, or even Mia Saab will have a very little leverage to force the country
Right.
in Saudis.
Ras, coming
direction.
over to you.
Yeah, I think it's, Pakistan is in a very tough spot right now. The Saudi king apparently has told Nawaz Sharif that you're either with us or with Qatar.
Right.
He's actually
Which is very blunt and very,
yeah, very
Yeah.
blunt,
yeah, right.
very blunt, putting all kinds of pressure on him.
Right.
So it's going to be tough for him to get out of it. You know, one way he could do that is he could say, hey, you know, I can't do this alone. I need the support of the parliament. I need the support of the military. And if he puts it through the parliament says no, then he could have an
There will be an
excuse.
implication.
You know,
Yes.
my parliament's telling me I can't do it, so I
Yeah,
can't
he
do
can
it.
hide behind Parliament.
Yeah.
Right. Audience, end of this session. Thank you for watching Viewpoint from Overseas. We'll be back next week with new topics. Keep watching Viewpoint from Overseas.